Has he ever threatened to kill you or your mom?
Never.
Anything? Okay.
No, never.
Well,
An older couple named Lawanda and Timothy in Robstown, Texas would hear a knock at their door. A young man was waiting for an answer on the other side. Lawanda would approach her front door opening to a slight crack to ask this young man what she could do for him. What many would consider a red flag, myself included, this young man asked Lawanda to come closer. Maybe he had sinister intentions, but this didn't alarm Lawanda immediately. This young man calmly and kindly asked if she could dial 911 because he had just murdered somebody. Now I'm sure this sent shivers down her spine, but she did what he asked while he waited outside.
911, what is your emergency?
Immediately, Lawanda notified the dispatcher that there is currently a young man just outside of her door claiming to have murdered somebody. Upon hearing this, the dispatcher would ask Lawanda if she could speak to this alleged murderer directly.
What? Wait, hold on. Hey, someone is at my door and he said he's a murderer. Oh shit, can you get in reach of him and hand him your phone? What kind of direction is that from a dispatcher? Hey, put yourself in immediate danger, please. I want to know if you're telling the truth. Let's see if he's actually a murderer. I need to talk to him.
Surprisingly, Lawanda agreed and handed over the phone. One thing that is nice is Timothy, Lawanda's husband, normally would be at work around this time of day, but he decided to take the day off, so Lawanda wasn't left home alone when this alleged murderer arrived. The young man on the other side of the door was Kevin Jazrael Davis. He would go on to tell the dispatcher that Lawanda was right. He did just admit to murdering somebody. The dispatcher would notify an officer to arrive at the residence of Timothy and Lawanda's, but would take quite some time. So long, in fact, that Lawanda would go on to redial 911 asking for an ETA. During this period of waiting, Lawanda was brave and kind enough to ask Kevin, the alleged murderer, if he would like something to drink. Now this kind of startled Kevin. I guess he wasn't expecting a kind offer. Which is kind of funny, definitely brave. Maybe she's thinking, hey, if I'm nice to you, maybe this person won't, be violent towards me. Anyways, Timothy would come into the mix and ask Kevin for details on the murder, like who and why. Kevin Davis would go on to admit that he killed his own mother, Kimberly Hill, with a hammer. When Timothy asked why, Kevin eerily and without making eye contact would go on to say, lots of reasons. Finally, a few officers would arrive at Lawanda and Timothy's residence. Once confronted by an officer, Kevin Davis would again confirm he killed his own mother, Kimberly Hill, with a hammer. So Kevin Davis was arrested and taken into custody. What makes this case so much more disturbing is that Kevin's confession of murder was only a fraction of the horrors that he committed that morning. With Kevin now in police custody and with his confession of murder, another set of officers would be sent to Kimberly Hill's apartment. They would arrive, and after finding a maintenance man to unlock the apartment, the officers would be able to confirm whether or not his confession of murder was true. Sadly, it appeared that he was telling the truth because the first thing officers witnessed was the living room couch covered in blood with female